Brilliance Audio presents Ace of Spades by Sandra Owens, performed by Amy McFadden and Sebastian York.
Nate Gentry sat in his car, studying the small house on the other side of the street. Harmon Baker had left Ocala, disappearing the same time Nate's mother had. Back then, it had only reinforced Nate's belief they'd run away together. Now he questioned his young self's conclusion, and the time had come to find out the truth. He'd tracked Harmon to this rundown house in Dunellen, a mere 30-minute drive from Ocala, where Nate had grown up. When he'd run a search for Harmon Baker, he'd been surprised to learn the man had never married. Was his mother in there? Ever since his middle brother had shared the secret he'd kept since the day their mother had walked away from them, Nate didn't know what to think anymore. According to court, their mother had been pregnant and had run away because their bastard of a father had tried to beat the baby out of her. The revelation had shaken Nate to his core. He opened the car door, getting out. Had he been wrong about her all these years? If he had been, shame on him. Guess he was about to find out. He probably should have at least stayed for Court's wedding reception, but after hearing his brother's confession, as soon as the ceremony was over, he'd left. Not cool, but too many bad memories had broken out of the mind boxes he'd locked them into when he'd been a boy. It was either leave as soon as he could or ruin the rest of Court's wedding reception because of his rotten mood. He loved his brother too much to do that. So he'd pulled his boss aside as soon as the ceremony was over, asked for and had been granted 2 days off. Now he was digging into the past, something he'd tried hard to never think about. Did he want to do this? Open old wounds? Nate paused a few feet from the door. Alex and Court were determined to find their mother. Nate's opinion on the matter be damned. Before he'd allow them to be hurt all over again, he'd get answers. He'd been their protector from the day each was born, and he didn't know how to stop now. If their mother had left them for something other than another man, he wanted to know. As he took a step toward the house, his phone rang with the tone Nate had set for his boss, special agent in charge of the Miami office of the FBI. As usual, Rothmeyer's timing sucked. Bringing the phone to his ear, Nate headed back to his car. If the boss was calling at 8 in the morning, after giving Nate 2 days off, it wasn't to chat about what they each planned for breakfast. "What's up?" Nate asked. "Another woman at the same dumping ground as the first two. The local police got an anonymous tip on where to find the body." Damn. 3 meant they had a serial killer on their hands. When the second body had been found, the evidence pointing to the same killer, the Bureau had been put on alert. With this third one, the FBI would be taking over the investigation. Nate headed back to his car. "The first 2 were found in the Everglades, right?" "Yep. Since they were prostitutes, it's likely we'll find out this one was too, once she's identified. I want you on the scene." Nate glanced at his watch. "I'm in Dunellen," which Rothmeyer already knew since his agents went nowhere without the boss being aware of their locations at all times. "It'll take me 4 or 5 hours to get there." "No, it won't. There's a helicopter on the way to the Dunellen airport to pick you up. Rand's riding along with the copter. He'll drive your car back. One of the local cops will be waiting for you to take you to the scene." "Why am I going there?" He worked undercover. "You're the lead on this one. Taylor should get there about the time you do." Rothmeyer hung up without waiting for an answer, which was typical. Nate stared at his phone in confusion. This wasn't an undercover operation. Taking the lead would make him visible. What was Rothmeyer up to? Until the boss was ready to clue him in, he would remain in the dark. Shrugging, he slid behind the wheel of his car. Harmon Baker and his secrets would have to wait. As he pulled away, he glanced at the house that looked like a heavy wind could knock it over. A dingy curtain in the front window fluttered closed. Someone had been watching him. As tempted as he was to stop the car and knock on the door now that he was here, he didn't have the time to spare. Whatever answers that house held would have to wait. When Nate arrived at the scene, Taylor Collins, his fellow agent, was already there. At the sight of her, Nate's heart did a little bounce. "Stop that," he muttered, warning his stupid heart to quit wanting what it couldn't have.